Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Passionate Talk. I am your host, Gary Karp. This is episode number 20. Today I'm going to sit down and chat with Orly Amor. Orly is a business coach. She is a life coach. She is a personal friend of mine. I've known her for 6 years. She has also been my life coach and is currently my business coach. She really has a passion for helping people and empowering them to live their lives. Now, before we go any further, I do want to let you know that you may hear a cat very often in the background of this interview. I record these podcasts in my home office, and my cat, Cinny, is in heat. No jokes about a cat named Cinny being in heat, please. I understand the humor in that situation. Orly will sit down and we will discuss exactly how she became a coach and why she became a coach. She's going to talk about her mission and how it was influenced by Gandhi. She's going to share a little bit of her personal story with us as well, and it's really an incredible story, and the way she persevered and what she now does with her life, it truly is inspirational. And as it has been the pattern with a number of these interviews, Orly gave me such great stuff that I couldn't squeeze it into one 30-minute episode. So you can look forward to hearing part 2 of my conversation with Orly on Wednesday. But right now, I want you to sit down, relax, grab a cup of coffee, make yourself some tea, and get ready to listen to my conversation with Orly.
I sleep great, though, let me tell you. I've never slept this good. But at the
Well,
same time, I knocked out.
That's a good thing. How did you find out you had vertigo? Is that the thing you were going to the doctor for a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
So how does that affect you on your day in, day out? Is it just like dizziness?
I'm always feeling dizzy and nauseous. I want to puke all the time.
You sure you're not just pregnant?
No, pregnant, no. I know how I feel when I'm pregnant, and I can't be pregnant, so we're good.
Oh, okay. That was a really bad joke. I take that back. So you may hear a cat screaming in the background. Cinny is in heat, and she is loud and noisy and has been all day, so I'm going to apologize right off the bat for that.
No problem. You sound like you're whispering, so you sound very mellow.
Oh,
And so
well,
I'm actually mimicking you. I'm mellow.
that is a different thing for me. Me being mellow is a totally different thing. Just, I guess that I have a natural habit when I get behind the mic, I sort of automatically tune in my Connecticut School of Broadcasting voice. I don't know what it is. This is about as me as I'm going to get behind a mic. Why don't we talk about the fact that you are a business coach. You teach the business of public speaking, and you're a public speaker yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about how you got into coaching and the reasons behind that.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for asking that question because it's a funny story too. So I've been speaking for about 14 years on the speaking circuit. And being on the circuit means that you have been speaking around different platforms and different places. And people see you. People who are already speakers, if they're speaking often enough, they will see the same people often. And I went to a conference in Arlington, Texas. And while we are all speakers, we are waiting in the what is called the green room, where we're just talking amongst each other. And one of the guys that recognized me there said, "Oh, wow, hi, how are you? I've seen you around." And I said, "Yes." He's like, "How did you get to this gig? How did you get booked for this conference?" I said, "Well, I called. I told them what I'm speaking about. I told them my fee, and I'm here." So they all looked at me like if I was like a deer with deer in a headlight kind of look. And they said, "You got paid?"
Wait, this was surprising to them?
Yes, but that's the thing. I was surprised too because for me it was a natural thing. I'm like, "What do you mean? You guys did not get paid?" And they said, "No, we got paid for our travel expenses, but we didn't get paid." And for me, it was like, wait a minute, something's wrong here. But at the same time, I said, "Oh, okay, well, I got paid for my travel expenses and I got paid." They said, "Listen, we need you to show us how you did it." And I said, if I am going to show you, I'm going to have to charge you. and they said, name your price. And they were dead
Wow.
serious. So then I realized that, I mean, you had to be there kind of a thing to see the seriousness on their faces, but one of them especially. And I said to myself, maybe I'm onto something here. Maybe I need to show people how to do this business, because they're probably missing out on being paid because they don't ask, or because they don't know what to send out, or they don't know how to talk.
Well, what was their expression when you first said to them, "Well, I got paid for being here," and you saw their expressions? Could you describe what it was like? I mean, did their jaws drop? Did their eyes bug out like a Tex Avery cartoon?
Yeah, they were like, they looked at me like, when you're looking at something in disbelief, it's not necessarily a jaw drop, but it's kind of a little bit of the mouth open, and you're like, what? Something like that to describe it. It's hard, or from words, but they were like, they looked at me like if I had three heads. So you think about what that looks like when somebody looks at somebody that has three heads.
I get that look a lot.
Ha
Trust me.
ha ha! Very funny. Hold on.
Now, that also is a great lesson, and it's something that you have always taught me. And folks, full disclosure, I've known Orly for about 6 years now. We started out as friends, and then she became a life coach to me, and then she became a business coach to me, and it's a relationship we still have to today. And the one thing Orly has always taught me is to be aware of the temperature in the room and always take advantages of the opportunities. And right there, when she was looking at her fellow speakers, who were aghast at the fact that she got paid and they didn't, she saw the opportunity to give them a valuable service and to build herself and to monetize the skills that she had, and she leapt at it. She took it. So what happened when you started coaching these people?
Well, actually, I only coached one of them, but he is now making a triple six figure. He has a triple six-figure career now.
Wow.
There's so many people out there that want to be speakers, who are speakers and are not really monetizing it because they're so busy doing so many other things. And this is a business. Yeah, I take it extremely seriously. I have built my business and I've helped others, so it's fun.
Now, there is another reason you went into coaching, and we've talked about this
Yeah.
many times over coffee, and I've seen you talk about this when you present in New York City and in other places. Could you tell people what your mission is?
Yes. So my mission is to impact the lives of 200 million people around the planet within the next 10 to 20 years. And I've been saying that from 2015. So if you think about January, or January to April is when I decided, of 2015. So by April 2025 would be the exciting part if we can reach that goal. By helping other speakers speak in front of the masses, we can collectively get to that number. It doesn't have to be me personally. It's about doing it collectively.
So, this is another reason why you are in the business of teaching the business of public speakers,
Correct.
so that the other people like myself and others who are your clients, can go out there, can make their own impacts and change the lives of other people and reach that 200 million mark.
Yes.
That's highly ambitious, and it's also a very it's a beautiful goal. How did you get that goal? What was the genesis for that?
Oh, I love that question because most people don't remember reading the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Was one of my favorite books. It's on my bookshelf now.
Right. Well, that's the thing. How many times does one read that book? I read that book at least 17 times. And there's a story in that book that talks about Gandhi and how he got 200 million people to follow him harmoniously for the fight against violence and hunger. And the operative word is harmoniously. And and so for me it was like, well, you know what, impacting lives. And when he did it, there was no computers and there was no internet. Today it should be easier. for all of us to reach that goal.
Absolutely. With Twitter and Facebook and Pinterest
For
and
sure.
everybody and their mother who's an entrepreneur or even just runs a church group has their own mailing list, which in itself is a valuable asset for getting your message across to people and building your tribe. So
Correct.
it is much easier in this environment to reach other people harmoniously. And I think that's the key, that we have to do it harmoniously. We have to
Mhm.
do it peacefully and authentically to ourselves. So if there's anybody who is trying to send their own message out there, what would you tell them? How would you tell them to go about spreading their message, using the internet, or even just pounding the pavement? What steps should they take to do this?
Well, there's a really cool YouTube video on how to start a movement if somebody wants to look at that. It's really cool. It's a cute video. Um, but besides that, I think that whatever you start in life, whatever you start, if it's a business, if it's a venture, if it's a joint venture, if it's a message that you just want to create, if it's philanthropic or whatever the start is, the key is consistency. People usually start something and then it dwindles because they lost the momentum or they lost the faith or they lost energy. I mean, there are so many things I could tell you that I've lost in the process of starting three companies, but I have not given up and I have been very consistent on my way of doing things. So I think consistency gets the message out. It gets you out. It gets people also to want to be a part of what you're doing once they're watching you. People watch you for a long time before they decide if they will embark on the journey with you or if they're going to get off that bus, basically. So
Absolutely.
my goal and my advice is just stay consistent and true to your mission, vision, whatever it is that you want to accomplish.
And that is so, so important, consistency. And that's one thing that people very rarely do not have because they don't know how to get the consistency. They start off with a lot of passion, a lot of fire, and I'm guilty of this. Orly, you know me for 6 years, you know I'm guilty of this. That you start off with a head of steam on a project and then slowly it fizzles. It either fizzles because you're not seeing results immediately or it fizzles because life just gets in the way.
Hmm.
And I find that one of the things that's so important in keeping that momentum, keeping that consistency, is the fact that you have to know your why and understand your why. And the why just can't be money. Money is the result of your why. So you have to know the reasons you're doing it and you have to be connected to it strongly on an emotional level. Because when that happens, you're going to always be pulled towards your goal. You're going to automatically have that consistency. You're not going to have to think about using your willpower. So, do you have any advice on how people can connect to their why and how they can find out what their why is?
The why needs to be stronger than anything else they've ever believed in. Um, See, my why is those 200 million people. It is strong. It is in me. It's been like a light, and I cannot take that away when I get up in the morning. When I get up in the morning, I have to think about those 200 million people and how I'm going to reach. So my mind goes racing every day on how to do this more. And that's why, Gary, we are starting so many projects at the same time because those are all projects that are going towards the why, the 200 million people. They're it's strategically placed. It's not just because we want to do this, it's because we have to do this. So now for somebody who's maybe their why is their children or leaving a legacy, that needs to be in the forefront all the time because time is definitely not on our side. It still goes by. It still, flies by now. When you get older, it just flies by even faster, I guess. Because I have been really chasing time at this point, and it's really amazing.
I know that the one thing that you always tell me is that you have to be willing to sacrifice. What are you willing to give up in order to get what you want? In order
Right.
to have that consistency, you have to be able to sacrifice something. And that's something that a lot of people either don't understand or they're not willing to do. For me, I sacrificed a lot of relationships for people that I've known for a long time that were friends of mine, but were really becoming dead weight around me because they didn't have the same mindset. I get up at 5:30 every morning and have what I call my sacred space where I do my meditations and I exercise and I fill my head with good stuff to get ready for the day. These are things that I do, and sacrificing the hours of sleep and some of the relationships I've had in the past because my why, my personal why, is so strong in wanting to help people. It's so important to know your why that I take in my own private business, I take one full session and I work with my clients on one entire session so they can understand their why. And folks, I can't stress how important it is to understand your why. And you can do simple things of just sitting down and doing free thought writing, where you're just automatic writing, it's sometimes calling it, where you think about what you want and you just start writing on a piece of paper and you don't filter yourself and you think about why it's important for you. Why is it important to start that business? Why is it important to date that guy or that girl? Why is it important to spread your message and to build your tribe? And write these things down and keep them in front of you every day. Stick them on your night table. Stick them on your refrigerator. I have mine taped to my wall in my bedroom. So the first thing I see every morning, well, after I move the cat, the first thing I see in the morning after moving the pussycat is my list of whys and my goals. So they're constantly in front of me all the time.
Mhm. That's good.
Now, I think it's also important how you got to this journey because being a coach is not for everyone. Being a mentor is a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. And there are hundreds of coaches out there. And a lot of them, I'll be honest with you, this may not be a popular opinion, but I found it true more often than not, are out just for the money. And I know that that is not you, Orly, and that is not how you trained me. So what made you decide to be a coach? Not just a coach in public speaking, teaching the business of public speaking, but what experiences led you down to say, hey, I want to help people. I want to help empower people to be better.
I have been told many times to tell my personal story, and I had refused that. I was in property management for 25 years, and I had engulfed myself with that sphere of influence where I wrote books. I was a local expert on TV. I was traveling the country teaching people how to get along with their associations and their board of directors and property managers. But one day somebody said, you have to speak at this shelter for women. And I said, no, are you crazy? I'm not doing that. And she said, no, you have to, please, you have to speak at this place. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. So for 3 weeks, my friend called me every single day asking me to speak at this women's shelter. And after 3 weeks, I got really annoyed and I asked her, why me? Why do you want me to speak about my story? Or why is it that you want me to speak? There's so many other speakers that speak about motivational speaking and so on. She said, because everywhere we go, you have such energy that people flock to you. People are always coming to you and they love you, and you're living the lifestyle that most people dream of, and you're successful. I want you to show them that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I said, okay, but at the time, the only thing I spoke about was property management. So I had to hire a coach to teach me how to do a motivational speech. And at the time, I saw this guy who was really, really dynamite, and I asked him to coach me. His name is Victor Antonio, amazing guy. It took me a long time to convince him because he was not taking any coaching clients at all. And I just had to say, look, you're the only one I'm going to work with if I'm going to do this. So he worked with me, and then I went to do this speech. Well, in property management, when you're on stage and you speak, when you get off stage, everybody is just asking you about their problems in their community, their problems with their board of directors, their own problems. That's what they talk about. And that this shelter, after I spoke, when I got off the stage, everybody was hugging me, and by the way, there was not one dry eye in the place when I was speaking. So when I got off the stage, it was very overwhelming. People were hugging me and crying on my shoulder and just wanting to be around me and thanking me for saving their life, thanking me for giving them hope, thanking me uh, for just being there and sharing. But one lady got closer to me, and she was crying pretty profusely and said to me, "Thank you so much. You don't understand." And I said, "No, I do understand. Please, honey, calm down. Everything's going to be okay." She said, "No, you really don't understand." I said, "No, I do understand. Please, calm down. Everything is going to be fantastic. Don't worry." And she yelled at me, "No, you don't understand." And then everybody around us became quiet. She takes out a piece of paper out of her pocket. She points at it with her index finger and says, "This is how I was going to kill myself this morning."
Wow.
And I was not coming here, as you can tell, but I don't remember my driving from my house to here. I don't remember the drive. I don't know what brought me here, but I heard you speak, and I want to live. I just want you to show me how.
That's how. What did you feel? How did you respond?
Well, the first thing is that I started crying too. Everybody around us was crying. It was so overwhelming. I couldn't help myself. I was crying. And the first thing that came into my mind was not, "Oh, wow, this is cool." No, the first thing that came into my mind was, "Wow, I just saved a life."
Absolutely.
And my reaction in my heart was, "I want to repeat this feeling forever. I want to be able to do this again and again and again and again." So I started studying the brain. I started studying I started studying also my story, because I know that was your question to me. The story behind it is that I was a beaten up child. I was molested 4 times before the age of 14. I was raped 3 times before the age of 22. I was left for dead twice. I had 4 abortions. I was married to a very abusive man, both mentally and physically, and I had gained a morbid amount of weight. I was 428 pounds at my heaviest. And now, thank God, I lost 217 pounds. But at the same time,
Wow.
what I want to say to this is that that was my story, and I had to go through a whole journey of going to see Tony Robbins and Deepak Chopra and Steve Covey, Les Brown, Lisa Nichols. There's so many that I have followed through the years to get over my own journey and to become who I am. And I studied and I read the books and I listened to CDs, and I didn't just put it on the shelf. I read a book back to, from cover to cover, and I listened to the CDs from the beginning to the end. Having said that, I had to study what is it that got me out of my own way to heal and to reprogram what I have been thinking of myself as being dirty and no good and not wanted, all these things. How did I get out of it? And then how do I teach it to others? So I started studying the brain, and I did not want to become one of those gurus that just takes out words out of the dictionary that nobody understands and just say them just so I can look smart. I decided to put it into layman words, and that's my book that's coming out. It's called The 12 Powers We Hold Within. Has a little bit of everything that I teach and that I taught you, Gary, through our sessions. But this has been my passion. That's what made me decide to help others, and how I've been doing it is through
I
my
told you Orly was inspirational. I love the story she told about the woman at the shelter who was going to kill herself and somehow ended up there to hear Orly speak. And I think the reaction Orly had would be the reaction any one of us would have when we can reach out and touch another human life and make a difference in that person's life, especially when we can convince that person that life is worth living. It is a life-changing experience both for us and the person we're touching. I love what Orly had to say about consistency. I know the expression consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds, but it's also the key to getting what you want. It's the secret of the secret, if you will. It's the engine that makes the law of attraction go. It's not enough just to set your intention. You must work at that intention. Every day, show up and pursue your goal. Pursue your happiness. Now, Orly will be back and she will tell us more of her life story in part 2, which is coming up on Wednesday. I hope you tune in for that one. But until then, follow your dreams and passions and manifest the life that you choose.